Thank you for being here this afternoon as we induct the 2023 Wofford Athletics Hall of Fame class. My name is Brent Williamson, and I'm the Associate Athletics Director for Athletic Communications with hosting duties for today's ceremony. To get things started, I'd like to welcome our Deputy Director of Athletics, Elizabeth Rabb, for a brief welcome.
Thank you. Welcome to the Jerry Richardson Indoor Stadium. We are so pleased so many of you could be here today for this special day. It has been great to see so many familiar faces as well as new ones, and we are just so happy that you're here to help celebrate these special people. Before we get started, I just wanted to thank a few people. First of all, our Hall of Fame committee. Thank you for your work and your intentional charge for this group. Second, I would like to thank all of our Wofford staff that helped pull this lovely ceremony together. And finally, I would be remiss if I did not ask for current members of the Wofford College Athletics Hall of Fame to please stand and be recognized. Thank you all for being here to help welcome in this new class. And at this time, I'll turn it back over to Brent.
Thanks, Elizabeth. I serve as an ex officio member of the Hall of Fame committee. I provide all the data and stats to the committee each year, and it's a privilege to work with that dedicated group of alumni in deciding each year's inductees. They set very high standards for the Hall of Fame, and we appreciate their hard work. We will begin today with our first honoree, Nola Crystalline Belcher. The first female at Wofford to win an individual Southern Conference title. She took home the javelin title in 2006. She held the school record in the javelin for 12 years. A two-time All-Southern Conference honoree, she will be inducted today by her coach, Freddie Brown. Freddie?
Her coaches after me couldn't be here today. For the coach track coach is currently I think at a track meet today. So I am certainly honored. I had Nola early in her career, and I'd like to congratulate all of the soon-to-be enshrined. It's truly an honor to be in your presence. Track and field is a sport that tests your boundaries of mental and physical capabilities. It's an individual sport, so you never compete against anyone else. You're always competing against yourself and your own PRs, much like golf. In college, it demands an indoor season and an outdoor season, as well as a short off season, so it is truly a year-round sport. In particular at Wofford, playing in the Southern Conference, it demands academic, if you've been around here, it demands some academic disciplines on a daily basis, and the competition is at an extreme level when you go to the championship level. So as I paint this picture of this particular enshrined honoree, she faced obstacles of not having a facility here, all right? And today is her day. She's the fourth one of my group when I was here that's in the Hall of Fame. So I have 4 Hall of Famees, and none more deserving than you. As a versatile track and field athlete, she competed in the javelin, shot put, discus, and the discus. On the heels of a good 2004 and 2005 season, she came back and she had a crowning moment in 2006. Those years were good years for us. She went to the conference championship meet and went against the App States and the Western Carolinas, who put much more of their budget into track and field, and she competed well, right? She did not win a championship during those years, but when she came back in 2006, having that experience, right? So part of it is the experience. Having that experience, she came back and she had her crowning moment. She had her championship and her enshrinement moment. She threw the javelin 38.7 meters, which is about 127 feet. That's 3 feet past the second competitor. In track and field, that is dominance. That's dominance. She did that again, practicing on the football field with a line for the runway that Andy Cow painted, or practicing here in Ben Johnson on her approach. What she overcame is unfathomable to think about how she did that. But that's the Wofford way. We get it done, no matter what the odds. She took no shortcuts, and against all levels of competition, with programs that had funded their programs a little better than ours, she competed at the highest level, and she persevered. Crystal, welcome to immortality. Your legend will live on, much longer than your years will. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Hall of Famer, Nola Crystal Belcher.
Phew. All right. Thank you, Coach Brown, for that introduction. I'm excited to share Wofford today with all my family and friends. I am a little nervous. I talk to people all day, but once you put this microphone and podium in front of me, I start shaking a little bit, so bear with me. It is with great honor and humility that I am able to stand before you here today. It is a privilege to join the ranks of some of the greatest athletes who have ever graced this prestigious Wofford Hall of Fame. I want to congratulate everyone else being honored here today, and thank you to the Hall of Fame committee. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to my family and friends. I like to call them my village. They have been my biggest support system and my biggest fans throughout life. They have made sacrifices to get to almost every game and or track meet since I played rec league t-ball. They would travel 4 or 5 hours to Davidson, App State, just to see me throw 3 times, which is about 20 minutes in a 3-hour, 4-hour long track meet. But I am forever grateful for them and their support for me. I would also like to thank my coaches and trainers. From rec league to college, each coach has had some kind of impact on my life. I was a gym rat from kindergarten on up, and I stayed in the volleyball gym after school, watching and learning from legendary coach Cheryl Browning. I would also like to shout out my volleyball, basketball, and track coach, Beth Miller. She pushed me beyond my limits and instilled in me the values of discipline and perseverance. If it had not been for her persistence and vision for me to participate in track and field during my last 2 years of high school, I would not be standing here today. When I got to Wofford, I thought I might want to play volleyball, but I didn't think I could juggle the demands of sports and academics at the collegiate level. I was offered a small scholarship and the opportunity to throw shot put and discus for the Terriers, which wouldn't be as time consuming. I did this for a year or so and trained with Caton Bethea, fellow Hall of Famer, but I wasn't real competitive with that. So one day, my old high school teammate invited me to train and throw with her with the javelin. She showed me some of the basics, and we trained under Coach Hans, and that was all under the leadership of Coach Freddie Brown and Coach Andrea Stamen. This seemed to be my niche, and luckily they allowed me to kind of stick with this and focus on this, and this is where I was able to excel. Lastly, I would like to acknowledge the sport itself. Sports have been a great teacher, challenge, and joy for me. They have taught me the value of hard work, resilience, and teamwork. I was given the opportunity to compete at the collegiate level and to hopefully inspire the next generation of athletes. Thank you again for this incredible honor.
Next, we will present the Terrier Club Distinguished Service Award. Sam Maw has been a dedicated supporter of Wofford since his graduation in 1956. He served as Terrier Club president in the 1980s and has always been there for his alma mater. Introducing Sam today will be his grandson, a 2014 graduate of Wofford, David McCutcheon Jr.
First off, I'd like to say congratulations to all the award winners today. What an accomplishment. I'm truly honored to introduce our next inductee, a tried and true terrier, my grandfather, Sam Maw. There's no one more deserving for the Distinguished Service Award than Sam Maw. Okay, it feels weird to call him by his first name. From here on out, he'll be referred to as Pop. By definition, the Distinguished Service Award winners should demonstrate exemplary leadership and accomplishments in supporting the college's mission. It is reserved for those with the highest levels of support to the college and unparalleled contributions to the college's mission. I know Pop doesn't want me to stand up here and talk about all his accolades and contributions to the college. So to me, this award, it boils down to unwavering commitment and repeated demonstration of service. Back in the early 50s, Wofford went out on a limb and made a commitment to my grandfather. While it might have been viewed as a risky commitment at the time, offering a full ride scholarship to an undersized and overlooked defensive specialist from a farm in Newberry, this commitment, it ultimately paid off. Wofford made a commitment to train and teach Pop, and in return, Pop made a lifelong commitment to Wofford. Pop has demonstrated his commitment to Wofford over the years through numerous financial contributions. He served as the Terrier Club president from 1981 to 82, and he's been a lifelong supporter of Wofford athletic events. Some of my greatest childhood memories were on this campus here with Pop. Pop has been a role model and made an impact on so many people in this room, even more so to me. He has demonstrated what it truly means to serve and commit to the things that you love, family, and Wofford College. Please join me in welcoming our Distinguished Service Award winner, Sam Maw.
You can probably tell from the way I walk that I've been around here a long time. Actually, it started in 1952. I was a student or senior in high school in Newberry, South Carolina. I was being recruited to play football with Clemson, South Carolina, Georgia Tech, and none of those schools. And Clemson got pretty tight with trying to get me to go to Clemson. And then they backed away because they thought I was too little to play football at Clemson. I was getting very discouraged, and one of my assistant football coaches in Newberry recommended that I look at Wofford. I came to Wofford, and it was a totally different feel. We had an hour and a half full-speed scrimmage, and the Wofford players and the recruits mixed together. And this was 18-year-olds playing 30-year-olds. World War II hadn't been over that long, And we had a lot of veterans, like Al McGinnis, hit the Marine Corps, and then came back and was a star here at Wofford. So things keep going. And when I came to Wofford that day with the scrimmage, I didn't really know what to expect, but I got into the action and enjoyed it. And after the scrimmage, Coach Phil Dickens took his arm, put it around my shoulder, and said, "Do you want to come to school at Wofford and play football?" I said, "Yes, sir." And he asked me a couple questions, which were, "Do you really want to come to Wofford?" Then he said, "What kind of grades did you make in school?" And I answered, "Yes, I did really want to come to Wofford. And in school, I made A's and B's." He looked at me, and I heard what I wanted to hear. He said, "It will not cost you 1 penny to go to Wofford College." And then he said, "Will you do me one more favor?" He said, when you, I know you're going to play in the North-South All-Star game, and coach, a couple of different coaches, coach from Carolina and Clemson, both wanted to talk with me. Coach Dickens knew that and advised me not to talk with them. So I did not talk with them, and we were getting to a point where we knew that I was going to have to do some things. So I made the big decision that Wofford is where I wanted to be. And in 1956, 4 years later, I graduated from Wofford. And I had a degree, a BS degree. I had a commission as an officer in the U.S. Army through the ROTC. And I had a job as an engineer with Southern Bell Telephone. And we've had a great life, and Wofford has always been a big part of our family. Thank you. By the way, this is a Wofford.
Our next inductee is Adam Scott, a 2018 graduate. He started 59 games on the mound for the Terriers, the most in school history. He added school records in innings pitched and strikeouts with 389. He is second in school history in wins and third in the SoCon history in strikeouts, along with being a fourth-round draft pick by Cleveland. Introducing Adam is our head baseball coach, J.J. Edwards.
Sorry, I'm running out of the bullpen there, literally. We were just practicing, and I literally ran out of the bullpen. So I think this needs to start with Adam's origin story of getting to Wofford, which not a lot of people know. So Adam and I are both from upstate New York and played for the same travel baseball team that I played at. So I called my travel baseball coach, and I said, "Hey, do you have anybody that fits the Wofford pedigree, academics, understanding who we are?" And he said, "Yeah, we got a kid out of Canandaigua, New York, named Adam Scott." I go, "What do I need to know about him?" And he goes, "Well, he's a good left-handed pitcher who has a 3-pitch mix, and he got hit by a car last year." and I go, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, in a parking lot at his high school, he got hit by a car, so he's coming back from a rod in his leg or surgery or something like that." I'm like, this is an interesting story. And then we ended up going down to Florida, and I saw him throw 3 innings, and it was one of the most impressive things I've ever seen in my life. 3-pitch mix. I'm going to talk baseball lingo. 3-pitch mix on the plate, and this guy just controlling everything that he did. I was fortunate enough to be the guy recruiting him the whole time and got to know Adam, know the family as they're sitting up there. Awesome, awesome. It was one of those things, you talk to 17-year-olds a lot, and you talk to Adam and you're like, this kid's not 17. This kid's a little farther away from that. Like, he's a little more mature. And it just ended up working out that he valued what we valued at Wofford, and he ended up here. And I think the best thing about Adam is, yeah, Brent reads off all these stats, and they're remarkable. And I'm going to add on to them because there's 2 points from a baseball aspect that I remember Adam just absolutely taking this team and putting him on his back. And one is our 2015 year. Adam was a freshman. And for those who know baseball, we play 56 games. We probably average 61 in a year. That's a lot of games. That's 4.5 a week. That's a lot of baseball. We're in the SoCon tournament in Charleston, South Carolina. We lose a heartbreaker at 9 a.m. to Sanford. We spend about 2.5 hours in a Ruby Tuesdays crushing a salad bar. And then we come back out, and we are the flattest team you've ever seen in your life. Playing Furman, flat as can be. I'll tell you who wasn't flat, and that's one Adam Scott. He goes all 9 as a true freshman, striking out 8. We win 1-0. We win 1-0, and he throws a 3-2 changeup with a runner on third to strike out their best hitter, an all-conference player, to win us that game and push us to the next day. That is one of many of who Adam Scott is, just taking, as a freshman, taking this team and putting them on his back. The other one I remember is his senior year in 18. We were the number 2 team. UNC Greensboro was the number 1 team. They were rolling up into our place. If we beat them, it was the latest in the season that we would have been the number 1 team in our conference, which wasn't really a Wofford baseball thing in the SoCon. Adam went 9 innings, striking out 17, and one of his classmates walked him off in the 9th inning with a double to now put us in first place for the latest part in Wofford history in the season. And it was just Adam being Adam, taking over and doing everything that he does and making sure that he is putting the team first, which he did so many times. If you look at our history, since 2015, Wofford baseball has been winning a lot of baseball games. And I think it comes down to a lot of talent like Adam, but I also think it comes down to human beings and the right people at Wofford College. And he is the best example of that. He is the best human being, one of the best human beings we've ever had. Stories still come up that they talk about Adam Scott and the GOAT, and I just remember one of his teammates making goat, I'm not going to make the goat noise, but making goat noises coming out of the dugout every time he pitched. And that's because that's the kind of teammate he was. As a freshman to a senior, every one of those guys, you pull any one of those guys, and they will say he is the greatest teammate they've ever had as the best player. And you don't see that a lot. So it is my honor to welcome you to the Wofford Hall of Fame, Adam Scott.
Starting out with a doozy and the whole car thing, huh? Have to apologize if for pulling my phone out. If you asked me to write this, nobody would be able to read it. So I'm going to start out there. I'll get into my story a little bit about how Wofford came to be, because it's incredibly important to me. But first, I'd like to thank you all for being here today. And for those who made this a thing, and for the Hall of Fame committee for honoring us. And congratulations to all the other inductees for their accomplishments. So I have a lot of people that I want to thank. First and foremost, I got to thank my wife. She never went here. She does this, but she knows how special of a place this is to me. And I'm not very good at recognizing my own personal accomplishments. I tend to try to push the attention away on others, and you really helped me to stop and appreciate this one. And you celebrated this for me before I was really able to, so I thank you for that. To my family, I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for your love and support every step of the way. You guys have been there every step, and regardless of outcomes, good or bad, you all care about who I was before what I did. And I'm very grateful for your steady presence in my life. So as I sat and tried to think about what I wanted to say here, I promise you that whole car thing was not one of them. But I struggled to figure out where to start because I wanted so many people to be recognized. But the more I sat on it, I felt like I had to tell my story of why and how Wofford came to be. You know, baseball, as I'm sure it's not a surprise, has always been a major passion of mine. It's one of my favorite things that I'm able to do in this life. In fact, there's a picture from when I was a baby before I could walk. I had a teddy bear and a ball. It's just kind of always been in my DNA. I've always had a dream of playing this in college and playing professionally. And that dream looked like it had no chance in 2012 and 2013. 2012 was the car injury. I had actually, my bone was sticking out of my leg when it happened, and I had a lot of procedures and things done to try and come back from that. But that wasn't even the worst one. In 2013, I had an elbow injury, and the doctor told me I had a 50% chance to even be able to play the game that I love. During this time, I had a few opportunities. You know, it was my junior year of high school, which is a prime chance to get recruited by these colleges. And actually, when JJ saw me in Florida, my elbow was bothering me when I threw that. He didn't even know. So thanks for all those nice things. But I truly believe, well, by the end of this, I had to call and tell everybody that I needed another surgery on top of the injury that they already knew about. And this time it was that elbow, it was 50% chance of success. By the end of it, Wofford was the only one who cared enough about me to take a chance and give me the chance to play the game that I love. I truly believe that God decided to use what I thought was my biggest mountain and turned it into my biggest blessing by giving me no choice but to become a member of the Wofford baseball program. It's so special to me because of the amazing people that I was able to come across. First and foremost, starts at the top with Coach Todd Interdonato. He just accepted the job at Boston College this past year. But I'll never forget the conversation I had with him as a high school kid when I had to tell him about that surgery. He said, "Adam, we recruited you as a person and not as a player. And if we got rid of the offer now, it would be like if you came into our family and we got rid of you just because you're hurt, and that's not how we do things." I knew this place was special before I even had a chance to step foot on campus. Don't get me wrong, Coach I, as any good coach can attest, can get under your skin like no other. And he would push me to be my absolute best. And I always knew deep down is because he was trying to help me become the best version of myself. Half the time though, I think he just enjoyed doing it. I could use all this time to talk about what he means to me, what he's done for me, but I'll leave you guys with I'll give you the one lesson that he always told me. He said, the more you invest yourself in others, the more in turn you invest in yourself. And that motto is a lesson that I still to this day try to live my life by, and I'm grateful for the impact he's made on the man I am. To my pitching coaches, Jason Burke and Seth Cutler-Volz. Berkey was my coach my first 2 years. He's an incredible family man and was a major reason I was so excited to come here. He's the kind of guy that could be years between talking, you feel like you haven't missed a beat and you've known him your whole life. To Voltsy, he was a person first and a coach second. The number of times he's asked us as coming down onto the field about our life off of the field before practice is too many to count. And as far as the baseball side of things go, what JJ didn't decide to say was I had some major struggles in there as well. My whole sophomore year was an absolute wreck, and I really attribute Volts and his coaching and his impact on me for flipping and saving my career. To JJ, man, you guys all saw it. That guy's energy and his juice is second to none. He's an incredible character, incredible person. I was so grateful that he thought and saw all those things in me in Florida. And man, you built Where'd you go? Oh, he's hiding in the corner. Man, you've been there every step of the way to build Wofford baseball up from what it was to what it is now. And I can't think of anybody better to take the reins for this program, man. And I can't wait to watch you bring the boys to their first ever regional. There's no one's they couldn't be in better hands. To Riley Cox, the athletic trainer, his work to keep all of us healthy and on the field, man, that's a selfless job, and he needs to he needs thanks for that. But more than anything else, and teammates can attest, just to be a guy at the end of the dugout, he always had his spot at the end where all the shenanigans would go down. I mean, and for those of you that don't know, but just take my word for it, a college baseball dugout is crazy sometimes. And lastly, to my teammates, man, we spent every moment on and off the field together. You know, the memories we have, I will always be grateful for. And I really couldn't be here without you guys. This place has given me so much. It's given me brothers. I grew up with 2 sisters. It's given me brothers that I'll have for life, and I'm very grateful. It's given me the gift of perspective, that it's not about a place, but it's about the people that you're around, and that's what's important. And lastly, it's given me the opportunity to keep my dream alive of being a grown man playing a kid's game. I'm fortunate enough to be standing here because I personally had success. However, after hearing all of this, I hope the spotlight is on all of those people that had their impact in my life, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. I'm forever grateful that God showed me that this is a place for me, and he crossed my paths with all of these people, both named and unnamed. Thank you.
Today we are presenting the 2023 Honorary Letterman Award to David Beecham, a 1997 graduate. David recently retired after over 40 years at Wofford. Introducing David is Dr. Naif Samhat, Wofford College President.
Every year we gather here to celebrate Wofford athletics, the coaches, the student athletes, the supporters who have made a difference to keep our Wofford College athletic program one of the most distinctive, special, and unique in the country. I want to congratulate Mike and Adam and Nola and, of course, Sam. It's a wonderful thing. You exemplify Wofford College athletics. In 1981, the college presented its first honorary Letterman Award. At that time, David Miller Beecham, I don't know who he is really, you know. Wofford College class of 1977 was working at the college admission office. He retired in 2022 as Senior Vice President for Administration and Secretary to the Board of Trustees after 45 years of service to the college, each day building a resume of support for Terriers near and far. David served 3 Wofford presidents through the years, Joe Lassane, Bernie Dunlap, and me. And over that time, the last decade, he has become a most dear friend, he and his wife, Cindy. And I'm grateful for the time we've spent together. And even more miraculously, he supported 3 full-time directors of athletics, Danny Morrison, David Wood, and Richard Johnson, a true accomplishment. His knowledge of Wofford College is unmatched. He's an encyclopedia of South Carolina, and that made him an ideal commencement speaker in 2022. His good humor and laugh are unmistakable and can be heard throughout the building any time of day. It could be heard throughout campus. Even next door at the president's house, we could hear that laugh from his building. Whether in the confines of the Mungo Box during football games or during cavernous arenas and basketball playoffs, his old gold and black wardrobe was the envy of all. The David M. and Cynthia C. Beecham Endowed Internship Fund was established in his honor in 2021 by John White, Wofford class of 1972, to recognize David's generosity with his time, talent, and treasure, both to Wofford College and the Spartanburg community, and the state of South Carolina honored him with the Order of the Palmetto for those same contributions. Recognition as this year's Honorary Letterman Award is a fitting follow-up, although I have to make absolutely clear this has nothing to do with his athletic ability. I will say, however, his golf game has seen marked improvement since his retirement. The list of Terrier greats who've received this award is astounding. Joe Lassane, Takoa Y. Switzer, James Talley, Joe E. Taylor, Dan Maltzby, David Wood, Woody Willard, Stuart Johnson, and Dolores Chandler, to name but a few. And we are honored to add David Beecham to the list. David, thank you for your service to the college, to the Terrier Club, to the athletics program, to our community. And congratulations and welcome to the Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Nave. I hope you all will agree with me that back in August, when you first heard about this year's Athletic Hall of Fame recipients and saw that David Beecham was in the group, you thought to yourselves, well, Wofford, what took you so damn long? I mean, what took you so long to recognize David Beecham's long underrated athletic ability? Seriously, this one is about as shocking as it gets for me, but is surely greatly appreciated and deeply humbling, mostly because of the rarefied company that I'm joining today and over the past years. First, let me congratulate Adam and Nola. We salute you today for your brilliant careers on the diamond and around the track. Your accomplishments allowed Wofford's light to shine a lot brighter. Also, congratulations to my dear longtime friend, Sam Maul, who's been a generous leader in Wofford's Corner for over 6 decades, and who, with a group of guys who were here all together as best friends in the 1950s, helped to make a transformative difference in the quality of this college and its campus for all of these years. And to my dear friend, Mike Ayers, you could fill up a Hall of Fame all by yourself. You have been such a terrific example and inspiration of how a coach and mentor can be a huge difference maker. It's been my privilege to know you as a friend and a colleague for pretty close to 50 years. And Cindy and I love you and Julie and cherish your friendship. But rest assured, I'm still scared to death of you. So what am I doing standing up here with all these legends? I'm not altogether sure myself, but I do have a couple of observations. First, since I arrived at Wofford as a freshman in 1973, I've had a love affair with this place. It was a great place for me to thrive and grow as a student. And the 45 years I spent as a member in the administration here were incredible. Being a player in the transformation of this college over the last 50 years has been an awesome experience and a privilege. The people of this college are my family. We've lived and died, laughed and cried, and cheered and booed as family. A little over 20 years ago, as I was settling into something of a new role for me as a senior vice president, closely assisting the president of the college, the then new president of Wofford, Bernie Dunlap, tapped me to chair a college committee charged with overseeing a self-study process that was required at that time by the NCAA for recertification with that organization every 10 years. As you might expect, it was a grueling, granular process with every sport, every coach, every process getting scrutinized. Richard Johnson, whom we miss being here today, but who I promised to still mercilessly harass during this ceremony, was then also a relatively new athletic director. With his leadership and the invaluable input of Elizabeth Rabb, Mark Line, Chaplain Ron Robinson, Brent Williamson, Terry LeWitt, and all of the coaches and their teams, we managed to make a passing grade with the NCAA.
In that process, though, I got an insider's look into their worlds that not many people who aren't in the intercollegiate athletics business every day get to have. From that time, I've had a profound respect for the intricate and complicated business that is athletics, even on Wofford scale. I came away with great with great appreciation for the balancing act that is Wofford athletics, for our ability more often than not to overachieve, and for understanding that becomes incumbent for our coaches that what we do here on our fields, courts, arenas, and track is but a part of the total Wofford experience, and that progress and welfare of our student athletes must never be compromised. I still thank Bernie and Richard for allowing me to be a small part of that experience, which certainly has forever influenced my understanding of and respect for Wofford athletics and our student athletes, coaches, and administrators. After a 45-year career that was as action-filled as mine was, there are a lot of people who need to be thanked. Too many, of course, to name, but I'm going to be stupid enough to try to name a few of them. And all have been good friends to Cindy and me. Let me mention ones whom I feel must be mentioned. Nafe helps here, but the presidents for whom I worked, and for some I'm still doing a little bit of work, Joe Lassane, Bernie Dunlap, and Nafe Samhat. All three of those guys have gotten to spend a disproportionate chunk of their careers giving direction to the athletic program. And they generally have received an overabundance of criticism for things that haven't worked perfectly, and way too little credit when things have been successful and we've been winning. Again, if you aren't in it every day, you simply can't understand its complexities. Thank you all for your mentorship, friendship, and leadership, and most importantly, for your humanity. For much of my time here, I worked alongside members of dozens of members of our Board of Trustees, several of whom have been star athletes at Wofford, many of whom are in this Hall of Fame. No one, though, has been a more loyal Terrier or a better friend to me than Harold Chandler, who is here today and has my highest respect. There have been a great string of athletic directors, as Nafe mentioned, whose friendship has been my pleasure and who have been both great givers and receivers of advice. Thank you, Danny Morrison, David Wood, and Richard Johnson. Coaches and other athletic staff members who have been special for me, again, are numerous, but certainly I would salute, and this goes back a while, Buddy Sasser, Billy Parker, Mike Ayers, Wade Lang, Mike Young, Dwight Perry, Will Murphy, Mark Line, Rod Ray, Jimmy Garrity, Lindsey Roos, Ryan Price, Shelby Taylor, Stephanie Lancaster, and Luke Feisel, among many who have been long friends and frequent lunch companions. And then let us not forget many of you in the room and others who we'll see at today's basketball game, the donors and supporters of the Terrier Club. This is no time to let up. We're facing a change in generational leadership in the athletic program, coaches and administrators, and we need to step up and support them just like we have all of the names I've already mentioned. Finally, thank you to my cabinet colleagues who are here today, my brother Buster, his wife Penny, and my sister Ann, all here on the row behind me, and my First Presbyterian minister, Alan Dyer. When you've done and said some of the things that I've done and said, it's necessary to travel with your minister at all times if possible. And certainly not least, thank you to my wife Cindy, a very reluctant sports fan, but one who recognizes that if you love me, you better love the Wofford Terriers. Thank you very much.
Our final inductee today is Mike Ayers. For 3 decades, Ayers guided the football team from the NAIA and NCAA Division II ranks to Division I and the Southern Conference. He led the Terriers to 10 NCAA playoff appearances and 5 Southern Conference titles. Coach retired in December of 2017 after a second-round playoff appearance to a team we won't mention, up north in the cold. At this time, we welcome Julie Ayers to the podium to introduce her husband.
Good afternoon. I have the honor today of introducing my husband, Mike Ayers. Mike and I met at Georgetown College. I first noticed him because he had brown, curly hair as he was walking into the cafeteria. We became friends. I was a little sister to his fraternity. I fixed him up with 2 dates. After that, he said, "Don't fix me up anymore." I said, "Okay," and then he asked if the next date could be with me. I said, "Okay." We dated. After graduation, he was a GA with Coach Tom Dowling at Georgetown College. I finished my senior year. We were engaged, then we were married. Our best man, Trip Hamilton, and his wife, Townley, are here today. We were blessed with 3 wonderful children, Katie, Courtney, and Travis. We added 2 son-in-laws, Peter and Micah, and Sarah, our daughter-in-law. Then came more blessings. Our grandchildren, Max, Maddie, Amelia, Avery, Ezra, and Hattie. I think they're done. We'll see. Mike calls them a lucky do-over. I call them happiness. We moved 6 times. I really had no clue what coaching was all about. Moved from Georgetown College to 3 years at Newberry. Thank you to Coach Heron and Lucy. 7 months at Richmond. That's when we learned you could be fired as a coach. He was not a head coach then. He was called, no cell phones. He was called, the head coach called me at school and said, "Julie, where's Mike?" I said, "He's out recruiting." "Well, when he calls, tell him we've been fired." Okay, so then 3 years at Wofford. Thank you, Coach Sasser and Sarah Jean. 5 years later, we were at East Tennessee. Finally, we came to Wofford in 1988. Needless to say, our furniture was worn, and I was tired of moving. When we had been at East Tennessee State for 5 seasons, Danny Morrison called. I said, "What does he want?" Dr. Lassane and he want to talk to me about the head job at Wofford. "Did you tell them you already have a job?" Mike said, "But Jules, I can trust Dr. Lassane." Our next stop was Wofford for 30 years. Thank you to our kids for hanging in there as we moved. Each time a new college and a football team. We were blessed with excellent coaches, their wives and families, dedicated football players, their parents and families, doctors, trainers, and a tireless support staff. Many people were so supportive through the years. When coaching comes a lot of stress. It was a challenge when we moved up in divisions and into the Southern Conference. I met Mike at the back door one night. I told him, "You can't come in with stress tonight." Shortly after that, he started karate. Our kids were so excited. "Dad, you should have started that a long time ago." How do you build a football team? You're respectful. You love with a gentle fierceness. You have a sense of humor. You are a leader that will stand beside your team through anything. That's our Mike. Today we celebrate Mike, our family, and all those who took the journey with us. So proud of you. Love you. Go Terriers.
I want all of my coaches to stand up. This is pretty tough. It's going to be a tough one. I love those guys. I cared that they became what they were supposed to become, a great man. There were times that they hated me. And then there was times that they'd hug me around the neck. I'm an emotional coach. When I go into a locker room, when I'm on the practice field, when I'm on the game field, it's all about business. It's all about put your hand on the line, do your job. No excuses. Do your job. I was so blessed to have the greatest coaching staff in America. I had guys that would work from dusk till dawn, and their whole goal in life was not to make a name for themselves, but to make a name for Wofford. The majority of the guys that were on my staff were guys that had played for me. When a young man decides that he wants to go and be a football coach and be in a situation to where there's not a whole lot of money, there's a lot of long nights of breaking down film and trying to find a way to get it done. Try to find a way to beat someone that has more resources, or Clemson, South Carolina, Maryland, West Virginia, Air Force Academy have a lot more resources than you got. But you know, the crazy thing about it was that staff, the coaches that built that dream team, those dream teams of conference championships and going to national playoffs and all that stuff. There's one guy that was with me for over 3 decades. People say he's a guru, and I believe that. The thing that I know about that guy, I learned about that guy, and I learned about that guy in 1980. And the blueprint for Wofford football in the future would be how that guy kind of gave me a vision. I had him on a leg press machine. He was a halfback. He was on a leg press machine, and I was grinding that guy. I was the new guy on the block. I was going to be the defensive back coach. I was going to install the defense, and then I was going to be strength coach. Well, this particular guy, I said, I'm going to make you quit. Seriously. He looks up and he said, no, you're not. I said, well, let's go. Let's see. Grinded. Finally, I told him, get off. I knew that when he decided he wanted to be a coach and he asked me, to be an assistant coach, had to take him. I had to take him because he had the blueprint. He had what I was looking for, not only in a player, but in a coach. We've been together a long, long time. And there's other guys, them other guys that stood up. I can tell you story after story after story about those guys. And the thing that I knew about every one of them, and I mean every one of them, was that when it was time to put your hand on the line, they did. They did. They didn't let down, they didn't back down, they didn't slow down, they didn't give in, they didn't give out, and they didn't give up. And by the grace of God, the right young men came our way, and we had a place in history, football history. I love our teams. I loved our teams. I didn't care whether we were 3-7 or 11-1. It didn't matter. Because the kids, that was the business. It wasn't just football, but it was the kids. What job? What job is the most important job? It's the job that you have to do. Do your job. I can remember early on, first meeting, Danny Morrison. We're down in the lecture cinema room. We're sitting there and, you know Danny, he's a used car salesman. And it's one of those deals where, you know, he's patting me there and he's going to introduce me and all this stuff. And he gets up there and he's blah, 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 blah. And then I get up there. Just as I start to speak, I got one guy, he decides he's coming in 3 minutes late. Remember that one? Where's Tony Shell? He's real late. Okay. I tell Tony, I said, what's your name? He said, Tony Shell. I said, well, Tony Shell, you see me in the morning at 5 a.m. I said, I'm going to give you something that's going to be a lasting effect on you. We took him to the hill. We gave him a few reps, a few dozen. And then I see Tony at football games all the time. And you know what he always says? Hey, Coach, how you doing? I've never been late since. This whole thing about Hall of Fame and all this stuff, all you guys, they say it takes a village. In my case, it took 2 villages and an old pickup truck. I love doing what it did. I gave it my all. I demanded that the guys that were in the foxhole with me gave it their all. That's how you get things right. That's how you have the ability to dream the dream, and it only is a dream. But ours, we fought the fight, and we got it to where it became reality. I'd love to do it again. I'd love to do it again, but I'm not. I tried to figure it out how many kids have crossed my path, sat in front of me in my office, and made that journey over a 30-year period through Wofford College? How many of them are doctors, lawyers, teachers, preachers? Too many for me to figure out. It might take one of those David Beecham calculate the pi r square cornbread all around. You guys, man, when I see you, what a blessing. What a blessing. Because until you've done what we did together, until you fought that fight, oh my gosh. I've always believed that what you value, you'll be willing to fight for. But I loved, and I was willing to die for. It's hard. It's hard to see these faces. My heart swells because I love you. I love you. God bless.
Can't follow that up. So with that, we appreciate all of you for being here today for the induction ceremony. At this time, we will ask the inductees for a photo as a group, and then our photographer, John Byron, will be here to take pictures of you and your family and friends and all that stuff for a while. Doors to the arena for the basketball game will open at 3 o'clock, and then we'll see the inductees behind the Wofford team bench with 4 minutes left in the first half for your halftime introduction as well. Again, thank you for being here. Hang around as long as you like. We appreciate you being here today. Thank you.